Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. I'm here with Edward Mead, our solicitor, immigration solicitor at Sterling Law. We're a Legal 500 immigration law firm, and today we will be talking about the most popular ways to immigrate to the United Kingdom. Thankfully, there are many programs now available to young and not so young individuals who wish to come and work in the UK or carry out their own business. And we received a lot of questions in advance of this webinar, so we'll try to cover as many as we can. I think we should probably start with changes that recently happened to the skilled worker route. And I'll ask my colleague Edward, perhaps the first question, what are the main changes in the way the work visas now work? Edward.
Sure. So yes, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Yes, so with regards to the skilled worker visa route, of course, now you have European nationals who don't have history in the UK, which would have to apply under this route if they were looking to be sponsored in the United Kingdom. So yes, with regards to that, the sponsorship needs to be in place from a licensed sponsor as part of the Home Office, and then the new skilled worker would have to meet the requirements of appendix skilled worker and showing the Home Office guidance has been met.
Thank you, Edward. Those who are watching us on Facebook, please don't hesitate to ask your questions in the comments. And in the meantime, Edward, from your experience, what are the most popular jobs or positions that are in demand and for whom we are getting sponsor license for our corporate clients and who are instructing us with skilled worker visas? Can you list a few jobs as an example?
Yeah, from experience, I find there's quite a deficit in the job market at the moment in the UK, given the UK leaving the EU. So I find certainly with my corporate clients that those occupations listed on the shortage occupation list is say software engineers, those specializing within the tech industry, certainly they're in demand. So I find that's a huge demand at the moment from sponsor license holders who wish to employ individuals coming to the UK, and with great urgency as well at the moment. So I'd say those within certainly the IT and tech sector, there is a growing demand there, definitely.
I agree. I personally also came across a lot of marketing vacancies and also construction companies, a few construction companies instructing us with sponsor license applications last week. So I think across the board, many sectors are now waking up to the idea that companies can no longer recruit European Union nationals without any restrictions. So I think that we will see more and more demand for sponsored visas. What about the salaries? What is the minimum salary that a company can offer in order to offer a job to a migrant worker?
Sure. So with the salaries, it would be based upon the certain SOC code in which the applicant is applying under. So within the sort of SOC code requirements, it would state, for instance, a software engineer, I believe, depending on experience, would be say £33,000 per annum, which you'd have to pay. But obviously this does differ from each dependent job route. So I think this, the main part to focus upon is what job role you're looking to instruct and to have the sponsor license for, and then we could advise accordingly. So it can fluctuate between different job roles.
Absolutely. Sometimes depends on the job description, not just what the name of the vacancy is. But generally speaking, the absolute minimum in accordance with the immigration rules is 25,600. And for younger individuals under 25 or for UK graduates, the salary can even be 30% lower. So that is I guess some good news for those who are willing to relocate, because employers will be now more likely to be willing to sponsor somebody from abroad because the salary threshold has been reduced. So that's skilled worker route. I guess the main message to those who want to come to work in the UK is, please remember, in order to come and get the visa for skilled worker, you need to pass an English test at B1 level. That's the most important requirement. And the second is, of course, have a job offer from a UK-based employer who has a sponsor license. There are other requirements, and there are other requirements for those who come with dependents, such as spouse, children. We will be able to advise separately, but I guess these are the main 2 points. There is also excellent news for those who come to come to the UK to study. There is another very interesting and attractive route for immigration, that's a post-study work visa. Edward, could you please expand on what's happening and when will it be introduced? When can the first applications be made and what will the requirements be?
Yes, sure. So this is a very exciting route, primarily aimed at students here in the United Kingdom. So yes, you'll need to set your watches and alarms for 9 a.m. on the 1st of July 2021 to be eligible to apply for. Now, I know we've had a few various questions asking who's eligible, when would I be able to apply? This does only specifically apply to the student cohort that have begun their either undergraduate degree or master's degree or PhD from, say, September 2020 onwards, okay? So I think there was a question Anastasia had about someone who was graduating in the spring of this year. So unfortunately, they won't be eligible to rely upon the post-study work visa. But the great thing about the post-study work visa is it doesn't require sponsorship, and the graduate doesn't have to have a job offer in place to apply for the visa. I believe the graduate visa fee is £700 for 2 years. And then you'd also have to pay the immigration health surcharge, which is £624 per annum. Something which is important to note is that if you are studying in the UK solely by yourself and then looking to bring dependents under the post-study work visa route, you wouldn't be able to do this. You have to have your dependents with you whilst you hold your either undergraduate or master's or postgraduate degree here in the United Kingdom. So I think that's the most important part for people to remember, is that, say, looking forwards, if they do wish to apply for this route, then they can't bring their dependents over as part of the post-study route. They must be held once they have their either undergraduate, master's or PhD here in the United Kingdom.
That's now, a very useful tip. Yes.
Yes, I think that's something which people maybe aren't aware of. Also, with regards to bachelor holders and also master's students, they will be granted a 2-year post-study work visa. And also for PhD holders, they would be granted a 3-year post-study work visa. So, PhD students would be granted 1 year longer. And then something which is quite important to note is that you can't extend in this route. So once you have the 2 years, you'd then be looking to, say, switch into the skilled worker visa route or an alternative visa route at that stage, okay? So you can't extend the post-study for, say, an additional 2 years. It's only for 2 years to give you the experience here in the UK to then branch out and then switch into another category.
I agree, Edward, but realistically, if a graduate has had a post-study work visa for 2 years and naturally the graduate has already been working for someone for this period of time, the chances of getting sponsorship for further work are quite high. I'm not just saying that. I had this experience I think it was 2011, 2012, when post-study work visa already existed. Graduates already had this 2-year opportunity previously, and from my experience, most of the graduates did land employers and went on to be sponsored on Tier 2. Therefore, I think it's a fantastic news for all UK graduates. Unfortunately, not for our graduate who asked about this question graduating in spring, but those who graduate in summer, it's a brilliant opportunity. Those who graduate with PhDs, as Edward mentioned, will get 3 years, not 2, and they will be able to then continue on the global talent route. That's because they will be able to get a UK-based reference, and PhD normally is a really, really good factor in getting an endorsement. So I think those who are serious about studying should consider PhD route seriously, which will almost guarantee them to stay in the UK, because many more immigration routes will then become available. What would be the advice to our mass media graduate who asked the question about graduating in spring? I think these particular graduates should consider two options: either continue their studies in the UK if the rules allow, if they didn't exceed their limit yet, and if they're financially capable, or they can start looking for an employer. Luckily, a mass media graduate should be in demand these days for marketing jobs, and I think there are plenty employers who will be willing to consider. So for any tips, please follow us on our social media. We provide some content as to how to remain in the UK and look for work for sponsored employers, and email us your CV. Sometimes we also have clients with sponsor licenses asking us about a graduate, especially in tech and marketing field, who we could recommend. So we will always assist if we can. But of course, you will need to be able to approach employers, find a job, and switch to a skilled worker in your circumstances. Another question which we had today was skilled worker versus global talent route. What are the differences and what are the key criteria, I guess, for the global talent? Can we explain that, Edward?
Yes, I mean, the global talent visa is one which is, it's far more flexible. You don't need to hold, say, an employer or sponsorship. The other conditions which, say, a skilled worker visa category would require. So I think it gives the applicant greater freedom. There's also considerable advantages in the sense of you can apply for settlement, say within 3 years as opposed to 5 years, dependent on the settlement path. So I think that's one of the major differences between weighing up between an applicant. Of course, with global talent as well, if you are an individual who holds a prestigious prize, then you're not required to show endorsement at the application stage. So I think that's a welcome change from the recent Home Office changes to that. So I think certainly if you are eligible to apply for the global talent visa route, I would advise clients to explore that if they have the expertise as either as a promising leader or a well-established leader, then that's something which we can show that they do have talent and are eligible to apply for. Certainly if that isn't the case, then skilled worker is also a very good route in a sense. It's far more flexible than the tier 2 visa once was. The requirements have been slightly more simplified, so it allows a greater need of individuals who are eligible to apply for that. So I think between the two, if you are eligible to apply for a global talent visa, then I'd state to go for that. But if not, then the skilled worker visa is one which is nearly as good.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for this detailed explanation, Edward. There was another question from the audience. Is it possible to switch from a student to startup? Yes, it is possible to switch. You'll need to get endorsement. Startup for your business idea. Startup visa is issued for 2 years. It can't be extended. I guess it will become less popular from summer because a lot of students will be switching to post-study rather than startup. But until now, it was quite a popular switch, especially because very often graduates were able to secure the endorsement from their own university. But of course, there are other endorsing bodies that we're working with. So yes, it's possible to switch to a startup visa for 2 years from student. Another question is, can MA student bring dependents? Edward?
Yes, MA students are eligible to bring dependents provided the course is 12 months or longer. So I think if your plan is to then look to apply for the post-study work visa, then I would certainly bring dependents at that stage to then look to be here for 3 years with your dependents. Because if you come, as I've mentioned earlier, if you come alone on the master's course and then you want to bring either your partner or children, then you wouldn't be eligible to do so because you haven't done at the prerequisite stage of your initial master's course. So yes, you are eligible. Of course, the requirements for financial eligibility need to be met, showing that there's adequate financial maintenance for your partner, spouse, and your children as well, depending on how many dependents are included.
We are we're recording this webcast on Zoom, so I can't see any questions from Facebook, but our marketing manager, Anastasia, is here with us today. She's watching our Facebook channel. If we have any questions, Anastasia, please let us know.
Hi, Ruslan. Yeah, thank you. We also had a question about difference between startup innovator, really. I know we covered this briefly, but if we could just explain in a bit more detail what the key differences are between these two categories.
Sure. So, a startup visa is set up, an innovative business in the UK, which is different to anything else which is on the market. It does require endorsement, and the idea has to be new, innovative, and viable. As Ruslan did mention, with startup, it doesn't unfortunately lead to settlement, so it's valid for 2 years, and then usually with startup visa holders, they would then transition into the innovative visa route. So I think that's something to bear in mind, is if you are looking to settle in the UK, but of course, as Ruslan mentioned, this might become redundant with students who are here who may look to then switch into, say, the post-study work visa route as opposed to the startup, as it's far less onerous.
I guess the most important thing is both startup innovator visa require for your idea to be scalable, innovative, and viable. These are the main things that our experts always look at before we apply for endorsement. And also bear in mind, after innovator visa, there are certain criteria for you to get indefinite to remain that you need to consider before you embark on that route. You need to really seriously consider whether you'll be able to satisfy those criteria, because otherwise you'll just need to keep extending innovator visa over and over again. Anastasia, any other questions from Facebook?
I think it would be good to go over key criteria for different immigration routes, such as financial requirement, English requirement, business plan, work experience requirements. So if you could just kind of compare some of the most popular categories and let our audience know what they need to prepare in advance to apply. I think it would be sensible to begin with financial requirements, because some categories do require investment, some categories don't.
Right. Okay, so the investment is for innovator. We're talking about 50,000. There's no investment required for startup, and there's no investment required for global talent. I guess global talent is the most popular visa at the moment, and I think it's the most attractive for prospective migrants, and especially they expand the global talent route to include fintech visa very shortly, which will be extremely attractive to fintech professionals with minimum requirements, simply because there is an acute shortage of these specialists in the UK, and they'll be fast tracking these visas. So I don't know, Edward, if you wanted to add anything to this.
No, I note from the budget which the Chancellor Rishi Sunak announced, a couple of weeks ago, there is a new elite points-based visa which is due to come into force from March 2022 onwards. Sorry, so that'll be next year. This is sort of known as the Global Mobility Visa, which is aimed primarily at tech entrepreneurs, and there has been calls as well for reforms to the global talent and innovator routes. So I think that's something for our audience to bear in mind, is that the advice we're giving today can, of course, quickly change in the immigration world. So I think certainly with the government's approach, they are looking to change certain aspects of the points-based system to make it far more attractive and far more less onerous to those who are applying. So I'd say if you do have an inquiry with regards to any of the startup, global talent, innovator, investor, or skilled work, or post-study, to give us a call and to get in touch, and we can then take your instructions and really tailor your advice according to an application which is most suitable to you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Edward. Let's come back to the questions. Another question we received before the webinar: graduated in 2019 with MBA, returned back to India. Can I come back, apply for work visa now? Yes, you can come back on a skilled worker visa. You can't apply for post-study, unfortunately, but things like startup, innovator, skilled worker, global talent are all available to you. You don't need to be in the UK to switch. So you'll need to find an employer for skilled worker or satisfy the eligibility criteria with your idea for startup visa, or have a look at your achievements, awards in the past, references you may have for global talent. Contact us directly. We'll be able to assess and we'll be able to assist. You may also wish to come back on a student visa and switch to post-study afterwards. This option is also available to you if needed. Any other questions from Facebook, Anastasia?
I think one of the last questions we have is about English language requirements. So speaking about global talent, startup, innovator, and skilled worker. Sorry, these are the most popular categories. So if you could just let our audience know which of them require IELTS test to apply.
Edward, do you want to take it?
Yeah, sure. So yes, depending on the visa category routes, there's various levels with regards to English language. So this is dependent on which category you're looking to apply for. So of course that can fluctuate between, say, a representative of overseas business is level A1 English, whereas a skilled worker is level B1. So I think in that circumstance, you state to us which category you're looking to apply for. And then of course you have to attend an approved Secretary of State English language test centre in your home country, or if you're within the UK, it has to be sat there. And of course, with the English language test requirement, it has to be dated within the last 2 years of applying for the visa application. Of course, for those individuals who hold, say, a UK degree, so say if you're a student and you hold a UK-based degree, then you can rely upon that throughout the duration of your immigration applications here in the UK for, say, settlement and citizenship moving forward. Okay, so yes, depending on what type of visa, of course, feel free to get in touch with us and then we can advise accordingly.
Brilliant, thank you, Edward. I guess if anybody is interested in a particular topic, such as global talent or a startup or a skilled worker visa, please contact us directly. We'll be able to record another webinar detailing requirements for such visas and also looking at different case studies to give you examples of what we were able to achieve for clients in the past. Especially the most popular route to immigrate to the UK without a job offer at the moment is global talent. And we dealt with many applicants from different industries with different endorsing bodies, such as Royal Society and Tech Nation and others. So please contact us directly. And I guess if we don't have any other questions for today, we thank you for your participating and we thank you for your time, and we are here to help.